I see a Budweiser. Go ahead and hold it up.
Yes.
That was the biggest clue.
Yes, right
Doing
there.
it for Dale.
Man, it's so many gimmicks, right? I feel like they're making it a lot more complicated than it needs to be. I mean, a lot of people, you get polarizing opinions on DRS.
I know you guys know exactly what I'm talking about here, but sometimes the effort, it's all about the boys. You know, like, hey, you know, life sucks sometimes, and you need the boys.
iRacing kind of always has a tendency to kind of buff
Yes.
the new cars just a little bit. I'm not going to go on record saying it's because they want people to spend money on their platform and buy all the new content.
Confirmed.
But
Yes.
but
Well, it's Thursday, and you know what Thursday means? Thursday means SimCAR. We are at round 2, or it is round 2. We are at Virginia International Raceway this Thursday night. I hope everyone's doing well. My name is Adam Thompson from Slow Motion Broadcasting, and with me tonight in the booth is Mr. Mike Braun. Mike, it's been a long time. How you been?
It has been a long time. It is great to be back here working with you again. Well, I'll refrain that. It's great to be back on SMB. I don't know about working with you again, but we'll go from there.
Okay.
But this is absolutely one of my favorite tracks here, and I am super excited to be here and watch these guys run.
I am too, Mike. I am as well. It's going to be a great time, I'm sure. But, Mike, real quick, let's get into the points. Obviously, Daytona was last weekend, so let's see how things are shaping up after round 1. As you can see, Chandler Rubeck for the AM class in the lead with Anthony Flores and John Ebersole with 43 and 38 points. Now, in the pro class, it's a little different. 87 points for Carter Hutcherson, Ray Kingsbury, and Christian Youngwall, 75 to 71. In 4th place, Cody Crosgrove is not that far behind either. Even 5th, Blake Reynolds, so it is pretty close to the top. But with that being said, we are pretty close to the ending of qualifying here. Let's see what we can get. See if we can go on board with one of these drivers here, Mike. And I think I'm going to let you do that because I know you know this track. So let's see if we can find one real quick that's about to start a lap. Devin Horvath, let's do that.
Here we go, coming down that long kind of bend front straightaway. Gonna make this wait till about the 3 marker here. 2 to 3 is where you want to go, and then you just shut your lap off. So, you know, evidently he felt so good, he just wanted to cut his lap off.
I don't know why people do this to me. Every time I try to do this, let's try this with Romain Ratto, and he better hurry up because we're running out of time here to get a lap covered. We'll see if we can do this, and he might shut his lap off too, but we'll try it again.
Coming out of Hogpen and down into that front straightaway. Like I said, it's got that little right-hand kink to it through the pit lane area. You want to get real tight in here across the line to get a quick lap, but like I said, you want to wait till you get to about 2 to 3 board here, hard on the brakes, and then you just dive off and not finish your quali. So,
I swear, if you guys keep doing this to me, Travis, if you do this to me, we're going to have problems. We will try it again here, going on board with Travis. If I can get the right camera. Here we go.
let's try this again. Like I said, right to about the 2 bar, getting hard under the brakes into turn 1, kind of a double apex turnaround here. So you really got to get You get tight into the area here. Coming down, you want to ride the throttle just about right here. You lift, let it coast out to the right. Come back into NASCAR bend, into that turn 3 area, and then you're coming into left hook here, which is a good sharp left-hander. Get a little bit of curb. Here's where you got to be real light on the throttle coming into that snake area. It gets real loose if you want. You get the tires real hot there, and it gets real sketchy. But now you come into the snake area, those S's, you just ride those curves coming up through, and here you come up into 7, 8, and 9. This is a real tricky situation here. You ride these curves just enough to get a little short line. Here's where the car gets a little light, and then you get into turn 10, south bend. And if you're not careful, it wants to chase around on you. Here you come into 11 and 12, the old famous oak tree turn, which is not oak tree anymore as they ripped it out due to it getting hit by lightning. But this is that long back straightaway, and you take that secondary pit lane if you really want to. But we won't finish the lap ever here, but
I'm telling you. So we're going to try it with Paul here, coming through Oak Tree, and let's see if Paul can give us a lap. Come on, Paul, you can do it all the way to the end, buddy.
Yep. This is that long back straightaways. You got to really get a good exit off of Oak Tree, and that makes that back straightaway even more important. But we'll watch one during the race. They'll have to complete a lap during the race, and we'll get one in.
Well, let's hope they complete one during the race. They might not. Who knows? But let's talk about real quick roller coaster, which we were going to get to. That is where I think we might see quite a few incidents, Mike.
Well, coming into roller coaster, it's a great breaking point to get in there and get on somebody, but you can also easily lock up and lose it. So roller coaster and hog pen is a super tough spot. Especially, there's a few Porsches out here. Those engines way in the back. It really wants to pivot that car around a little too much sometimes. So we'll have to see how these guys can handle this tough track. And if I remember correctly, the track temp was a little warm. So it might make it a little spicy for us tonight.
I see what you did there. Track temp, hot, spicy. Nice. Yeah. Good job, Mike. Good job. Anyways, to the grid, real quick. Carter Hutcherson in first, Devin Horvath second, Blake Reynolds starting in third with Kevin Fanning in fourth, Ray Kingsbury, Matt Kingsbury, the two Kingsburys sitting in fifth and sixth, Romain Rateau, Elias Roman in row 4 with Justin Hall and Casey O'Brien rounding out your top 10. Then we're getting into the AMs. Chandler Rubeck and Marwan Mafta are in 11th and 12th with Daniel Coletta, Brian Sohn, two pros in 13th and 14th. Josh Stoltz, Josh Ondo, John Ebersol, Jeff Johnson, Steven Savigny, Paul Mikolajczyk, Travis, Dave Flumer, Kevin Bogart, Rob Edgel, and Brian Asta rounding out your top 24. And we're not done yet. We've got a huge field here tonight for you guys. Carson Quint, March Banks, Jason Lynn, Colin Allen, Kieran Forrest, Nathan Fennell, Joshua Suji, Rob Falquez, Gary Freeman, and Tim Brokaw round out the field. That was a lot of drivers, Mike. This should be a great race.
Absolutely. This, like I said, this is one of my favorite tracks. This is one of the tracks I go to farm for iRating whenever we go here for officials. And it's either a track you really get, or it is just a struggle fest to try to drive on. But like we're talking about the track temp, if I remember correctly, it was well over 110 last I checked. So if it's going to be that warm, it's going to be tough to get those tires to stay cool. And with the Lambo out on the pole, Carter's got his work cut out for him. I mean, the Lambo is what I call an alien car. You have to be an alien to really be able to get this thing to stay underneath you. He did a great job at Daytona in round 1, getting that car going good. So pretty excited to see what these guys can do around this beautiful track.
Yeah, you did mention the Lambos were pretty good there in round 1. So, yeah, I mean, it's just going to be, who knows what's going to happen here. But real quick here, you guys can see AM and Pro. AM is in the red, Pro's in the blue. Top of the screen, you can see who the leaders are of each class. They're all racing for the same points. So they're not trying just to beat their rivals in their class. They're trying to put cars between them and their rivals in class to get more points. It is a little bit jittery right now. It should fix itself. There are just a lot of cars driving around a very small area of track. So hopefully that fixes itself. But with that being said, Carter Hutcherson, obviously going to be fast. And let's talk about the difference in cars. Lambo on the pole, Ferrari in second, Porsche in third, and a Mustang in fourth. There are 4 different manufacturers, top 4.
Yeah, that's going to make it definitely interesting. You've got the Lambo, which is noticeably free. Just about even a fixed setup, the car's really free and it rotates really fast. Then you got the Ferrari, which is like Velcro on the track. It's super tight. You have to turn your force feedback down because it's so tight in some of the turns. And then you got the Porsche, which is almost like a glitch car in some tracks where it hooks up everywhere. But if you're not too careful, it wants to step out because that big old motor hanging out behind that rear axle makes that car really tail happy at times. And then you got just a good old American muscle in that 4th spot, the Mustang, which they're super fast down the straightaways, but it is noticeably not as nimble as those other 3 cars in those switchback turns. So it should be interesting to see how Kevin can manage with these guys up front. So many Fords in this race. It is definitely going to be interesting to see how they do.
1 second here, guys. I may have found a way to hopefully fix this just a little bit. I think it might be getting a little better for us. But, yeah, I'm worried about that Mustang, especially around a hot track like this. When it came out, Corvette's not much better, but it is at least a little bit better. But that Mustang is heavy, and it does not like to keep its tires cool. So people like Justin Hall and Matt Kingsbury, Kevin Fanning, drivers like that are really going to have to be careful. And you wonder how racy they're going to be able to get if they've got to be monitoring their tire temps. Maybe not on this 15-lap heat so much, Mike. Obviously, by the way, top 8 inverted. Maybe it would be a pretty good idea for those Mustangs to hang around 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th, get a better grid position. It's not as easy to pass here, especially with the straight line speed of those cars.
Right, but you also got to think into effect that going down that back straightaway that last time, those Mustangs do not like to stop. Those brakes do not work well on that car because it is just a big tune-a-boat. So you really got to be mindful of holding on that spot because you can easily get past on the inside coming into the roller coaster and end up in 9th spot. So, then you're really screwed.
Well, here we go, waiting for the green flag to fly, looking for the flag man. It doesn't look like anybody's waiting for the flag man. They're already going. Hutcherson gets a great start. Horvath sitting in 2nd place now. Looks like it's going to get a little bit wild, though. Blake Reynolds, Kevin Fanning, Ray Kingsbury, but behind them, speaking of fanning, everybody's fanning out. It looks like, Romain Ratzo for the 5th place back. Everyone is trying to get position 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, Mike. This will not end well coming up.
No, you really want to get into single file coming in hit this area here. It's not good timing when you get up into that left hook area and being side by side. So you can see these guys going side by side. Romain holding on to that spot in the 6th spot. Right behind him is Kevin Fanning. Kevin dropping back a couple spots from his starting spot. But as you said, you want to get into that single file line right now. Now's not a good time to really make any passes. This is where you kind of just tuck in, hold on, and you wait till you get into Oak Tree. It gets challenging from here on out.
Oh, it really does. And look what that's done to the top 3. The top 3 has already gotten an interval of over a second. Blake Reynolds to Ray Kingsbury just from them battling for a few corners. That is not what the Ray or Kevin or anybody behind these top 3 want to see. Now, if you're Blake Reynolds, you're saying, hell yeah, guys, keep fighting. But, Ray's really got to get a move on. You've only got 15 minutes. And, Mike, these laps, they're not short laps. You're running almost a 2-minute lap here.
Yeah, it's a minute 45, minute 46 lap around here with these cars. So yeah, you're looking, about 9 to 10 laps or so. So you really, if you're back in the list here, you got to make your positions. You want to find your spot. Like we said, you want to be around that 8th spot. So when you do at invert, you get back up into that spot so you can be up front. So it's those top 3 though still pulling away by about a second, just over a second now. But that battle is definitely in for that 4th, 5th, and so on. It is going to be a tight battle back there. Looks like we've got somebody off the track back towards the back.
We do. It looks like Gary Freeman, it seems like. Let's see here. Make sure everybody can get through here okay. Then we'll see what... that looks like that was a car off in the roller coaster section. Let's see what happens. See if we can get any better. Oh! Well, oh boy. There's a lot going on back here.
Yeah, that is a tough impact from Forrest in that Mustang. Coming into roller coaster, like I said, these Mustangs do not like to stop hard on the brakes that first time by. Oh, they get side by side. Tough together there for those 2.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate, and then it's just carnage behind them. But back to live pictures here. Carter Hutcherson still in the lead by about 0.6 of a second, followed by Horvath and Reynolds, and then Kingsbury in that Porsche. And again, manufacturers, Lambo, Ferrari, Porsche, Kevin Fanning falling back to 5th place. You can see he has lost 1 position. Not doing too terribly bad, though. But what I do want to mention is, look at the difference in the pros and the AMs. This league has done a great job of separating those drivers. The top 10 are all pros. 11th place is where you have to find the first AM. And that's not, I'm not saying the AMs are slow. It's just a shout out to the league of how well they've been able to separate these guys.
It is tough in some leagues. You and I both have run leagues and know that it could be a challenge for sure. And it's not just based on iRating. Some of these guys can be, 1,500 and be quick because they don't run a lot of officials. They run a lot of leagues and their iRating doesn't change. So fantastic job for this and seeing that, like I said, the top 10 all as a pros. You see a few of the pros sprinkled in the back there. They may have had an off track and dropped back, or like I said, this track is either you get it or you don't. And some of these guys might not get it. As you see Justin Hall right now trying to hang on to that 10th spot, but it looks like he is under attack from a Lambo. That is the 11th place car of Chandler Rubeck, your first amateur right now, trying to get past that Mustang, trying to work his way up into that top 10. And maybe Chandler could even get into that 8th spot, and that would be ideal for an AM. I mean, geez, can you imagine an AM being in that 8th spot right on that invert? That's
exactly, I think, what Chandler's plan is here, but I think you and I both know Justin Hall, and Justin Hall is not a slow driver, and he is extremely difficult to pass. He knows where to put his car. Obviously, you saw Chandler tried to go to the inside there, but Justin had so much better of a drive off the corner. And that's going to be the issue, again, with these Mustangs. And, again, this Mustang is going to be so fast. Let's see what Justin does to Casey O'Brien here, if he's going to be able to get close enough. But Justin gets a little bit wide. That might actually give Chandler the chance. And it looks like there's another Mustang pulling off right now. What's going on here?
Unless they ended up with a slowdown. But now it looks like it might have been... Not sure what was going on with that. But because there is a slowdown coming if you're off track up there, so maybe that's what it was. I'm not sure, but still riding along with Justin Hall as we go back. This Paul
Mikolajczyk.
There we go, Mikolajczyk.
Yeah,
I got a few names I got to learn. So
yeah, Paul sitting back here right now in I don't know,
17th.
Yeah, 17th. That's Kermit the Frog drinking some iced tea. This is one of the weirder paint jobs I think I've seen tonight so far, but we haven't gone through the field here. Let's try to get through the field real quick. It doesn't look like there's really anything going on. Actually, Devin Horvath is starting to get a little bit closer now to Hutcherson. No, he's not. He's about a second away. Blake Reynolds, though, on the other hand, is still staying close enough right now to Horvath to maybe fight for second place at the moment. But, I mean, as you can see, even for the amount of cars on this track right now, Mike, everything seems pretty spread out.
Yeah, your top 3 have definitely opened up to that 3-second gap back to Kingsbury in the 4th spot. But he's got Rateau right behind him by less than a second. And then the other Kingsbury right behind him as well. So you got Ray, Romain, Matt, Kevin all grouped together as they're heading up into turn 7 and 8, just passing all those S's there. So great battle for those guys right now. But like we're talking, you really want to keep an eye on that 8th spot. That is that invert spot going into the main event as we're coming up on 6:30 down. So we're closing in on that halfway point right now. It is going to just, everybody's kind of getting settled in, not letting their tires get too crazy hot and just waiting for that last lap or two. But that long back straightaway is going to be a great opportunity to draft and get into hard braking coming into roller coaster to make that last lap pass.
Of course it is, and Elias Roman right now sitting in that coveted 8th position, and not by just a little bit. There is 3 seconds separating him and Casey O'Brien. So right now Elias, I would assume, is just content to hang on to the back of Kevin Fanning here. You may not even want to go for a pass. Obviously, with the invert, you get more points and all that stuff. First or second starting on the grid may not be too bad. Just depends. Obviously, they do not go on green. They go on leader, as we saw at the start of the race. So I think being in first place is going to help. And as we've started to see, it is a little bit more difficult than I thought it was going to be, even into roller coaster for overtakes.
Oh, there we go. Got one around. Who was that?
Who was that? That was Matt Kingsbury.
Matt Kingsbury. Yeah, Kingsbury spinning out in that Mustang.
Oh,
we
look
said,
out.
You get those tires overheated. Now he's sitting there spinning them. That's going to make it even worse. I mean, those things overheat so fast. But luckily, he's got a little bit of a straightaway to kind of cool him back down. But, man, tough break for Matt, dropping him back into that 14th spot as he was running up towards the top.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here. You can see how squirrely he was even just coming off and coming back onto the racing surface. And it looks like he has got it cooled down, going to start pushing again. But back up to the lead, Blake Reynolds has closed that gap, and he is now there on Devin Horvath.
Yeah, here's that draft down that long back straightaway, kind of poking his nose out a little bit, but he might be biding his time a little bit as we're about 8:30 down. So still got about 6 minutes, 30 seconds to go. Lots of time, probably about another 4 or 5 laps for these guys. He's just kind of feeling it out and trying to see where he can make his moves.
You have another off track as well, Justin Hall. It looks like the Mustangs, as you mentioned, are really starting to turn into bucking Broncos here. Off track for Justin. Where was it? Oh, that's why.
Yeah,
well then.
Kingsbury gets spun out in front of him, so a little Mustang on Mustang love there.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, this is a family show. I'm not going any further than that. Back to the leaders. Blake Reynolds still back right onto the back of Devin Horvath. Oh my goodness, I just realized this. We got 2 Canadians in first and second. They're in Virginia. They're not in Canada. They can't be this fast.
We got Mosport. That's the Canadian Tire. That's a nice little flowy track, kind of like this. So
that's true. That's true. Yeah. That's very, very true. But yes, we've got Horvath and Hutcherson in the lead with Reynolds in third place. Ray Kingsbury actually falling off the front of this, off the back of this lead group and starting to come under threat from Romain Rateau. As you mentioned, this is turning into little bit of a battle, and Elias Roman in that Mustang still. Nope, sorry, he's not in that Mustang. Kevin Fanning in that Mustang still able to stay on the back of these drivers, which is impressive to say the least. I did not think the Mustang was going to be able to hold it out this long. If he's got enough tires left, this might be an unpopular opinion, Mike, but I think that Mustang may be the car to beat.
I think it is an unpopular decision, but we'll see how it plays out. But one thing to see with Matt Kingsbury falling back, look who's in that 8th spot now. You got Kevin O'Brien hanging on to KC O'Brien hanging on to that 8th spot. And Rubeck closing in right now. So Chandler is not too far back. Your first amateur up into the 9th spot now. So he is closing in on that top 8. But, he's still a couple seconds back. But, we still have, about 4 minutes left on this race. So good for a couple more laps. If somebody else has a mistake up front, look who's going to be in that 8th spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see as the slide out lap times on the left-hand side of your screen come out, Kevin Fanning was the fastest driver. Right now, we still have drivers coming around the track, but it looks like Kevin is really starting to push, only 0.3 of a second now behind Romain Rateau.
Yeah, he is all over that back bumper of that Porsche as we're going to come into the S section right now, that snake section. Just going to tuck in behind here, but he's going to look to get a good run through South Bend and into the Oak Tree section. That is where the biggest passing zone is. Once you get into Oak Tree, you set yourself up for that back straightaway. So here they come through that S section. South Bend, turn 10 is really brutal, and he closes in tight and looking for that outside line. Doesn't want to get too early on him, but he wants to sit right here, get a good drive off of 12, off of Oak Tree, tucked in behind that back wing, and looking for a good long draft down this back straightaway. And looks like the Porsche is just inching out, but here comes that draft. You see those numbers creeping down. Is he going to get a good hard braking on it? We'll have to see what this Mustang can do under braking. Looks on that inside line and squeezes those brakes hard, trying to stay in close. Doing a good job of staying clean, as this looks like we're going to have probably 2 more laps. This should be 2 more to go when they come by the line this time.
I think it should be. And another driver to look at right now, Chandler Rubeck, first in class right now. He's only 1 position off of, imagine an AM starting in first place here, 1 position off of that invert. He's got to get to KC O'Brien. Can he? That's another question. It doesn't look like that gap's come down much, but you know he's going to be pushing for all of his life right now for these next 2 laps.
The last couple times by, Chandler was 0.2 of a second faster than KC, so he might be running out of time, but he is closing in fast. That might force a little mistake from KC. You never know. Get a little stress from somebody getting close to you. We'll have to see how it plays out when they get the next lap and a half.
We'll have to see, but with that being said, let's go back here through the field, see if we can find a couple more battles. Well, we can't do that because, again, this pack, my eyes keep going back up to the timing screen to watch these drivers. They are still on the back of each other, and surprisingly, Mike, it looks like that Mustang is a little bit quicker in the corners, but that Porsche is quicker down the straight.
Yeah, the Fanning's doing, about half a second quicker last time by than Romain. But it could be him backing him up a little bit. It could be a little gamesmanship, but definitely that Mustang showing its legs down that back straightaway. He's just waiting to get that chance, and it looks like he is close enough this time by. He might make a run at him as they crest the hill, coming down into roller coaster. Kevin Fanning looking for a place and not quite doing, and just rides right behind him as your leader coming down and down the front straightaway one more time.
Let's make sure we can see the white flag. This should be the white flag lap, though. See if we can see a flag waving somewhere. Where is the flag guy? I don't know where the flag man is. Did he? He may have taken a break.
Pit lane. He is at end of pit lane, so we'll have to see. But that should be your white flag right now. As you see, a great battle still with Devin and Blake going at it. Devin still driving that Ferrari, leading in that second spot, but that Porsche all over that back bumper. They've been this way pretty much from the start, Adam. These guys have not wanted to get away at all.
No, they really haven't, and this is going to be where that Porsche seems to have legs. Like I mentioned, I'm very surprised, actually, that Porsche is so fast down a straight line, especially against that Ferrari. Mike, I just don't like Porsches, so I want to talk crap about them as much as I can, but watching these Porsches tonight, it's impressive to see how they've been driving, and let's see what happens here going down the straightaway into roller coaster. See if Reynolds can get a good drive out. Looks like he slowed up the corner just a little bit to maybe try to get a good drive. Closing, 0.3 now, 2 almost, 0.25. 0.2. I don't think he's going to get it.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Doesn't look like he wants to. He's just going to go ahead and hang out right. Nope, no, he's not. He went for a move. That was close.
That was very close. That is an untraditional spot, but it is a good spot to surprise people with, too. So as they come out of hog pen, and it looks like they're going to be holding position there, but you still have a great battle back in that 5th spot. As you see them coming out of hog pen now, Romain Rateau hanging on to that spot. Kevin Fanning still tucked in behind. Elias Roman is going to finish up in 7th. Casey O'Brien still hanging on to that valuable 8th spot right now, and is going to be able to bring it home and take that invert pole. So good job from Casey O'Brien to hang on to it. But even better job from Chandler Rubeck, your first amateur, finishing in the top 10, finishing in 9th in that first heat.
Well, I mean, Chandler, I just wanted to mention how much he closed that gap down. If he would have had a little bit more time, and you wonder if that early issue with that spinning Mustang may have lost him a little bit of time, he looks like he was actually faster than Casey O'Brien. We may have some AM challengers for the top 5 going into the feature race, which is a totally different race than the heat, as you know, because it's 45 minutes. Tire management is way more important.
No, absolutely, and that's where I think we might see some of those Mustangs starting to have a little bit of problem, is the tire temperatures and riding too long and just using those tires up. So it's going to be a real gamesman kind of race where you're wanting to pace yourself, make your moves when you see them, and not really force the deal and over-temp those tires.
Yep, absolutely. We're just waiting on a couple drivers here. Brian Sohn, Rob Edgel, and Travis Dave Lumiere to come across the line, and that'll be it. Travis in a very, very beautiful car. The most beautiful car on iRacing, I must say. Good job, Travis. You're driving the right car, buddy. I know you can get it faster, get it up there closer to the top than 29th place. You're in a Corvette, man. You can do it. Come on now.
Oh, rage quit.
Oh, yep. He heard
Now
me.
it's
He's like,
beautiful.
nope, I'm going to destroy it. All right, so into hopefully the results. We aren't going to get any results, but I can give you a quick rundown at least of the top 10, maybe. Or will we get results? We won't. So, again, because the heat races, we're not going to get to see any results. But keep in mind that the top 8 will be inverted. We tried to keep you as close as possible. And we will be right back waiting for the warm-up to end. See you guys in just a minute. All right. We are back, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a race for the ages, at least me and Mike hope so. Waiting here for the grid of the feature race. Now, what we saw from the last race, Mike, give me some predictions. Who do you think is going to be fast here?
Kevin Fanning was really, I think, pacing himself and just waiting. So he's going to be back up front with that invert. You'd be surprised to see a Mustang towards the front.
Let's, well, a Mustang towards the front maybe to start, but let's see what happens after 45 minutes. But for now, Casey O'Brien, Elias Roman, Kevin Fanning, Romain Rateau, Ray Kingsbury, Blake Reynolds, Devin Horvath, and Carter Hutcherson round out the top 8. Remember, those are inverted. Chandler Rubeck so close to being able to get to that 8th position, starting 9th with Marwan Mafta in 10th. Justin Hall in 11th with Daniel Coletta starting in 12th. Matt Kingsbury, Josh Stoltz 13th and 14th. Steven Savigny and John Ebersole in 15th and 16th. Jeff Johnson, Kevin Bogart, Brian Asta, Colin Allen round out your top 20. Jason Lynn, Karsten Quint, Tim Brokaw. Sorry, Tim. I might call you Tom Brokaw a few times. Sorry about that. Tim Brokaw, Nathan Fennell in 24th place. And rounding out the field is going to be Joshua Suji, Josh Ondo, Brian Sohn, Rob Edgel, Travis Deflumer, Kieran Forrest, Paul Mikolajczyk, Rob Falquez, Gary Freeman, and John Marchbanks. And we are already rolling. So, let's see what happens. Mike, you mentioned a Mustang in this race. This is going to be tough. He's got 2 Ferraris to deal with, and he's got to get through those cars. And if you are in that Mustang, what's your strategy? Do you want to try to get ahead early? Use up some of those tires?
Yeah, you definitely want to get up front early and set the pace. You don't want to have to try to push when your tires are getting worn out. Track temps being over 110 degrees, it's like we said, it's going to be spicy. And those rear-wheel drive, front engine cars, man, they just, especially the Mustangs, just love to light those tires up. So if you're coming out of turn and you get on the throttle just a little too much, as we saw with, I think it was Matt Kingsbury, it looked like that might have what happened in that first heat, just spun out coming around the left hook turn. So anything can happen. But I do think a mid-engine car is going to win this. It might be one of them Porsches, but it'll be interesting to see what that Lambo of Carter Hutchinson can do. He did an impressive job last week at Daytona, and he got out front here and set the pace real good. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do from that 8th spot and work his way back up.
Yep, and as you can see, I have made an error, but I'm about to fix that. We can now see the car logos of all the vehicles on track, which helps if people don't know what cars are what. Real quick, as you can see on the top left-hand side of the screen, it's showing lap 1 of 70 and 245 elapsed. Now, this is another heat race issue that I'm not going to be able to fix. The overlay that I have pulls the information straight in from iRacing, so they can't do anything about it either. But this is a 45-minute race. So remember, when we get to around the 40-minute mark, start looking out for where people are. That's when we probably might start seeing some moves. So 45-minute race, not 70 laps.
Now, since this is my first time with these guys, are we running limited fuels, or are we going to have to run a pit stop? What do you think the strategy is going to be like?
So there's no forced pit stop. There was one last season when they were running the LMP2 and GT3s together. This is now a full GT3 league. They've decided to opt against a pit stop, which I think, Mike, makes it a little bit more interesting because drivers who do overheat their tires can't come in to change them. So it could get very interesting towards the later stages of this race. We're going to actually see the outright pace of these drivers without any pit stops.
No, absolutely. And especially, some of these cars on a heavy load of fuel, because you got to have enough fuel to run for 45 minutes. So it's going to be a, heavy load. And we're talking about heavy cars. That Mustang of Kevin Fanning is what we like to refer to as the tuna boat out there. Big, huge, heavy car. So it definitely is going to be a challenge for those tires.
was muted. It will be a challenge, but if anybody can do it, I think Kevin can. And I want to keep an eye on Justin Hall, too. Just look at that beautiful Sudi car back there. Hopefully he can do something. We know he's fast. But we're about to go green. Casey O'Brien going to be taking the green flag. Is he going to go early like Hutcherson did? No, he's waiting for the green flag. Now he goes very, very late, and it actually caught Elias Roman off guard. Almost allowed Kevin Fanning to get to the inside. He might still try to send it up the inside here. No, they get in line. Fanning still showing his nose low. We got 2 wide behind him by Ray Kingsbury. Romain Rateau 3 wide. Blake Reynolds as well. Yeah,
that good running from those guys to stay clean 3 wide. That is no easy feat coming around turn 1 with 3 wide. So cold tires, hot track. That was a good move for those guys to stay clean through there.
Steven Savigny looks like he was able to make a move now behind Justin Hall. They are still 2 wide. Justin up onto the curbs there. Looks like Savigny might be trying to get around him. Corvette versus Mustang. The feud continues even in iRacing, but right now Justin Hall able to stay ahead. Back up in the front though, Casey O'Brien is still hanging on to that lead, but Elias Roman is breathing down his neck. Kevin Fanning starting to lose a little bit of time, but that's okay. Remember, it's a 45-minute race. I think these drivers all understand that. There have been no wrecks thus far. Everyone just falling into line, playing the long game here.
Yeah, you may have just had the commentator jinx there as well, just coming off and saying no wrecks yet, but your top 3 already starting to pull away by 1 second on Ray Kingsbury in that 4th spot. So it's getting a little bit of a gap early on, but then you go back to right behind Ray is Romain Rateau, Blake Reynolds in the 6th spot, Devin Hobarth in 7th. Carter Hutchinson still kind of hanging on to that 8th spot, just setting the pace, waiting for a move. Like we said, 45 minutes. It's a good long race. Right behind him is that 9th spot of Chandler Rubeck, your first amateur. And then rounding out your top 10 is Maron Mofaf in that next Mustang in the 10th spot.
I do want to mention Marwan Moftah for just a minute. I ran with these guys one night just to kind of get a feel for the league, get a feel for the drivers, and was hanging out in the Discord with them and shooting the, as we say, shooting the shit. Marwan is actually Egyptian and a very, very quick driver, to say the least. I'm surprised he's actually in the AM classes. It looks like Kingsbury's trying to go around the out or the inside, but it turns into the outside, and there's contact. Marwan did not leave him any room.
Yeah,
oh, no.
You get together.
Oh, no.
Oh, all sorts of carnage coming around that left hook area. We talked about that in that practice quali, or that quali section. That is a tough section. This is where the track gets really loose, and with that high track temp and these cold tires, man, those cars can get spun out really easily.
Like Marwan has parked it, now letting all the drivers go by. Going to try to limp it back to the pits. This is probably a better idea than towing, because the tow from there has to be tremendous. But look what that's done for Chandler Rubeck, Mike. He is now in 9th place. Josh Stoltz, this next AM, is sitting back in 13th. Chandler is going to be pulling in an absolute haul of points if this keeps up.
No, absolutely. Like we talked about earlier, is the points are based on your position, not by just the class. So if you can open up a good gap going back into that 2nd place car in AM, that will extend a good points lead coming into that next week for sure.
Absolutely will. Back to the front. Kevin Fanning is now under threat from Ray Kingsbury. Ray has been able to get back to that lead pack. Actually, the whole pack is getting back to the lead pack of those top 3. All the way back to maybe Carter Hutcherson, and Chandler Rubeck is trying to get there. And like we said, we're going to have to keep an eye on this Chandler guy, Mike. He's a bit of a sleeper.
No, absolutely. And like I said earlier, the Lambo is no easy feat, no easy car to get around these tracks. And a track that's 110 degrees, 112 degrees right now, it is definitely going to be a challenge to get that Lambo around here. And he's got a 5-second gap back to the 10th place car. So he's holding on a good size gap, good comfortable pace right now for him.
He is. Jason Lynn, Glass and Steel Photography. By the way, I want to give a quick shout out to Jason Lynn, because he is the one that has given or allowed me to use all of his pictures, and all of those pictures that you guys have seen in like the intro videos and the outro videos and the waiting screen. All of that stuff are all done by Jason through Glass and Steel Photography. Make sure to go look him up whenever you get the chance. He does great work. and get a hold of him if you want some pictures done for your league, because I would say he does quite a nice job. But with that being said, he is sitting back here in 20th place. Probably not where he expected or wants to be, but still a long race.
Yeah, it's still, like you said, a long race. And looks like we've got a couple cars off the track right now coming out of turn 10. Might be your Kermit car.
I think it is. Let's see what happens to Paul Mikolajczyk here. Through the S's. Oh, this is going to get a little bit spicy. And who was that was right behind him? Was that Josh Ondo? It was Josh Ondo. Tried to put it into a very questionable place through the S's, let's say, Mike.
Yeah, that is definitely a single file area. You do not want to go side by side through there. Even with a lap car, you really want to just tuck in behind them, unless you can get a good run on the Ondo. But you see Brian Astic coming out of the hog pen area. That is another tricky spot too, because you're on the throttle and just trying to crest the car out to that outside line.
Well, let's see what's happening here with Kevin Fanning. It looks like he's now putting the pressure on Casey O'Brien. He can see Elias Roman starting to skirt away from the leader, from the pack, almost a second now, more than a second ahead. Kevin really wants to get this move done now. I think he's tired of waiting around, Mike.
No, it is go time for him. He is on the back bumper of O'Brien. Maybe we can jump on board with him when we get to the front straightaway. We get a full lap in this time with somebody, and you can just see the undulations of this track, the elevations of going up and down. You really doesn't, you can't see it until you're really on board and watch how things go and watch the terrain come and go on this track.
Track right here, especially where they're coming into right now, is maybe one of the scariest corners I think I've ever had to take in iRacing, because it's blind, it turns left, and then it cuts back right and downhill. You have no idea when to turn in, where to turn in. If there's a car spun like we've seen on the bottom side of that hill, you're basically screwed. It is just an insane complex of corners through here.
But once you get it, man, if you hit it right, you feel it, and you feel how good it feels. But maybe we could jump on board with Kevin and watch him come down the front straightaway, tucked in right behind KC. As you see him starting to draft, getting a good pull coming down that front straightaway.
He might make the move.
Oh,
is he thinking about it? He
yep,
is.
There he goes. Hard under braking coming into that turn. Hold that inside line. This is a tricky spot to get. Oh, so close to KC. Makes that pass go by. And here comes Ray Kingsbury trying to follow him as well. But here we come into NASCAR Bend, turn 3 right now. It's a real tough section where you back off early and you really get on the throttle to come into the left hook. And this is where the track gets really sketchy, real loose when it's real hot like this. But you got to be real easy on the throttle. You overgear the car a lot of times to trump through there to keep that wheel speed down. But as we're coming in that long snake section up into the S's, you see the hill you're climbing to get up here. This is another one of those semi-blind corners. You're coming up to crest this hill, and you got to find that apex quick into turn 10. You got to carry so much speed into here, then back down the hill, then back up the hill into 11 and 12 into that good old oak tree turn.
Do you think they're ever going to plant?
Good job.
Do you think they're ever going to plant another one there?
Yes, I hope so. I sure hope so, because I miss it. I mean, I used to use it for spotting the turn. I've had such a hard time to get a hold of that oak tree turn now.
All right, anyway, sorry.
Down the back straight we go. Kevin really starting to close that gap. It is less than 2 seconds now. Hard under braking into the roller coaster section. As you can see, it is blind. That wall sticks out just enough so you really cannot see what's coming. And then you get through this section here. This is the hog pen turn. Down in here, you get onto that curb here and you just ride it out to that outside line coming off here. But you don't want to suck a tire off, because that's where a lot of things happen. You get off that curb and you get that tire off into the grass and it gets sideways on you and you go straight into that pit wall.
You don't want to what, Mike?
I don't even remember what I said now.
Probably a good idea. Anyways, going back to Ray Kingsbury, looks like he's made the move around Blake Ray. A lot of people have made the move around Casey O'Brien, and he's still falling back even. He is just getting freight trained right now, all the way back to 6th position in almost the span of half a lap. He's lost 4.
Wow, that's a tough break for Casey. He had a great run starting up front there. Just, the pace of some of those guys, because those are the guys that were leading in the first heat. So those are some guys that were definitely hotter pace to get out front, but it looks like he's got his teammate running with him right now in those matching Ferraris. But Chandler Rubeck still sitting back there in that Lambo. A little surprised by that.
You know what I'm starting to notice here with Chandler is it's almost like he doesn't want to get when he wants to start pushing the car, he can, and we saw it in the sprint race. Now, I want to mind you that these cars are open setup cars, so maybe he does have his car set up for a longer run, and it started to come in around that 15-minute mark. So keep an eye on that. And again, at the top of the screen now, it is showing 45 minutes. It's still showing laps, but at least we now have the timer as well. We're going off the lap or the time, not the lap count. But yeah, anyways, back to Chandler. It's almost like he is just, you can even see he's not really trying to close under braking. He's just sitting right where he wants to be.
Yeah, it's maybe just waiting, but you really don't want to wait too long because, you know, he's starting to getting pulled away from the leader. He's about 7 seconds behind your leader right now. So you don't want to get too big of a gap and lose contact with those guys. So you know, we've got 35 minutes still to go. So still quite a bit of time, and things can happen with this spicy track, but we'll have to see how he plays out, how he gets by those Ferraris.
Back here to Josh Stoltz right now, getting absolutely hounded by John Ebersole. That is not John Ebersole. That's Kevin Bogart that just sends it up the inside, makes the move, it makes it stick. Great driving.
Yeah, that was a full send mode right there to get in there and able to get it to stick and not make. Looks like they made a little bit of contact, but not a good push me out of the way contact. So good move from Kevin to get up there and move up into the spot.
Watch what happens here. He jinks left, jinks right, and look, he gets on the brakes so early that was almost insanely bad. But he gets past Josh Stoltz. You can see Kevin tried to sell him the dummy to the outside, went to the inside. Josh got on the brakes. That could have ended in disaster.
No, absolutely. But good job from both of them to hang on to that. And in turn one, too, if you get too high on that outside line, it really falls off. And once it falls off, you're just off in the grass and into the weeds out there.
We've got someone shouting out Mikey Mike. I would assume, I don't know who he would be talking about. Where's there a mic? Okay.
It's a mic drop.
Mic drop for sure. Yep.
I'm world famous. I know a lot of people.
That's right. Oh, it's a mic drop. I see. I'd never thought that they were going to be talking about our commentator, but wow, I'm surprised that you have fans, Mike. I mean, I know you're a guy, but
I'll have an autograph session next to the trailer when we're done.
Okay, sounds good. Let me know. I'll send my dog. But back to the race. Kevin Fanning is still about 2.3 seconds now. I think Elias Roman saw that Kevin got by, and he has turned on the afterburners. He is amazingly increasing that gap because Kevin has increased that gap back to Blake Reynolds by over a second as well.
Yeah, it looks like Elias has the fastest lap right now. The only guy to run a 145, a 145.9 for Elias. But his last lap was a 146.3, and Kevin was a 146.7. So half a second difference between their top two cars that last time by. So, we were talking in that first heat, Elias was just laying back there in that 8th spot. And I remember you saying it. He may be just, biding his time sitting back here, and that's what it looks like he did, because now he's out front and he is looking to move away.
Well, we got Murphy's on the GoPro here in the comments section saying he has more fans than a sim rig. I hope he does, because if he has more than 0, that's more than my sim rig has. So congratulations, Mike. You may have one fan, and I think it's Murphy's on the GoPro. But again, back to the race. I'm sorry, this is not a poop on Mike session, but it's become that. Looks like we have Colin Allen is off track at the moment, falling way back. What happened to him?
It looks like he got a little too spicy coming out of turn 10 and getting off the track there, coming through the S's here. And that turn 10 is that blind corner, and if you really carry too much speed, you get into that off section. No, he get it before turn 10. Wow. Taking the shortcut to go to the other side of the track, but does the wise thing and rejoins the track where he should be.
So what happened there, Mike? What did he do? Did he suck his tire off?
I'm going to go mute now.
Back to the leader, Elias Roman is now 2.7 seconds ahead with Kevin Fanning still sitting in second place.
The toilet.
Looks like, oh no!
That's Carter Hutchinson spinning out.
That is not good. See what happened to him. It looks like they may have had a little bit of help coming around. See exactly what happens to Carter here. Oh, just outbroke himself, got on the curb, then got a little bit of help, but there's really not much that Porsche could have done. And I think that was the Porsche of, who was that? The Porsche of Romain, I think. No, it was Ray Kingsbury. Yeah, there's really not much that Ray could have done.
Yeah, he sent it on that turn, and that's that half of the track is really slick when it gets hot. So he just lost the tail end, and you know, kind of like a Porsche doing Porsche things. It was a Lambo doing Lambo things, because it just gets tail happy and it just chases around. But Elias, man, he is opened up to an almost 3-second gap now on Fanning. So doing a fantastic job out there in that Ferrari, stretching it out.
Now, I don't want to, looks like Carson Quint just had a off track as well in the same spot. Now, that turn 10 is becoming an issue, it's looking like, Mike.
Oh, it looks like Colin Allen had another issue too. We might want to go take a look at that one too. He went for another ride. It looks like the same spot too. Yep, and coming through the S's here.
Oh,
Porsche doing Porsche things. That's what we call it. And almost makes it to the other side of the track as you come up to the back straightaway.
Oh, could you imagine this absolute sheer terror that was on the drivers coming down that backstretch when they see a Porsche coming at them from the wrong direction?
Yeah, it's fun when you're in just a practice jumping cars on the other side, because I've done it. But yeah, not fun when you're seeing a car come across the track like that.
It's not, and I do want to mention somebody, Kevin Bogart here. Right now, second place in the AM. Kevin is fairly new, not new to simming. Kevin, the owner of Too Fast Racing, also a sponsor here of SimCAR. Too Fast Racing is a Beam and G. I don't really know how to explain it, but go look up Too Fast Racing. You'll see what they do. Yeah. Derby SVT88 said, haha, that's the reason I parked it. Yeah, I think that was exactly who we were just talking about. Colin said, yeah, I just went ahead and parked it. But, yeah, I'm surprised turn 10 is catching drivers out. It's not really even turn 10, though, Mike. It's turn 9.
It's the lead up to it. Yeah, it's the lead up to it. But the last couple of them, it like I said, it was Porsche doing Porsche things. Those engines back behind those tires, and they're swinging left, right, going over those curbs, and you just chasing it the whole time trying to get up there.
Oh, Gary Freeman said I was an absolute weapon. That's who that is there. But, yeah, don't look now, Mike. Chandler Rubeck is now closed in onto the back of Casey O'Brien, trying to make a move here. Chandler, that car is really starting to come into its own. Like we mentioned, maybe around that 15-minute mark it was going to, and you can see how much quicker he is. He's going to go to the inside here of Casey, see if he can get it done. Does Casey give him the room? He does. Casey's probably going to get the drive on exit, though. It gets a little bit tight. Now Chandler has to back out of it, trying to go for the switchback. Over, under, driving it in there deep. Don't make the same mistake. He did not. Just going to let it go for another lap.
Good move from Hutchinson to kind of back off of that, Chandler Rubeck to back off that section and wait for another turn later on. But he is definitely on the move right now. But we're back up front with Blake and Fanning.
What did we talk about, Mike, earlier? That Mustang and those tires, Kevin was not able to get to the lead, and now he is under pressure from Blake Reynolds in that Porsche, and clearly Elias is in a league of his own right now, but that could come back as well. But again, Reynolds is right onto the back now of Fanning, but the problem is where you can make the overtaking moves. I don't know if he's really going to be able to get it done because of the power of that Mustang.
Yeah, the big passing zones is right here, coming into Roller Coaster, just off this back straightaway and going into turn 1. That's like the two big, heavy brake zones. Those are the passing zones for these, but and the problem with that in this situation is that Mustang's got so much power, it can just hold its own down the straightaway, and that Porsche just can't quite get close enough. So he's really got to work on an exit for that turn just before the straightaway. Get in so close to that back bumper that he can get a good draft. And by the end of the straightaway, he can make a slingshot pass going into one of those turns.
Yeah, he absolutely should be able to do that. He is all over the back right now of Fanning, and they're actually starting to get into lap traffic here. We can go ahead and pull up the relative for you there on the right-hand side of the screen. You can see Joshua Suji is the first one on Kevin Fanning's radar, and Suji in that Corvette, but it looks like Reynolds goes for a move, and it almost catches Fanning off guard, but Fanning able to hold that car down to the inside and able to hold on to it for now.
He is under pressure now, and that could have been just Blake just saying, hey, hi, I'm here, and just reminding them, this is definitely not a space that you want to try to make any passes. We saw it earlier with somebody trying to tuck around the outside, but this is where you just get in, get through turn 10, get into Oak Tree, get really close coming into Oak Tree, and get a good drive onto that back straightaway and try to get that drag race.
You know exactly what now Blake is doing. He's showing his nose. He's popping out. He's like, hey, buddy, am I making you nervous yet? Because you know Kevin Fanning is starting to sweat underneath that virtual race helmet. And the problem is he still has 30 minutes almost, 25 minutes to go in the race.
Yeah, this is going to be a great battle as they're closing in, like we said earlier, on Joshua Shuchi. And that could play a factor coming into one of these braking zones. Could, can Blake use him as a pick, but they're closing in on him right now. So here's the chance where he's going to be tucked in right behind Kevin. Coming onto that front straightaway, he can get a good run, and this could be it.
Oh, boy.
Good run from Blake around that outside, down the front straight, trying to make that run down that pit straight.
This is insane right now. What we're seeing, that Mustang has just lost all of its pace. It is screaming right now. I have a feeling for tires. Blake makes that move look easy. Speaking of easy, Chandler Rubeck has it pretty easy in the AM class. Look at that gap now. Kevin Bogart in 12th is the closest AM driver to him.
Man, that is going to be a huge points haul for him. Working his way up into the 7th spot. So, man, he is doing a fantastic job in that Lambo. Like we talked earlier, that is not an easy car to drive, and especially not on a hot track like this.
No, it's not, and it doesn't look like the track's going to be cooling down that much from now until the end of the race. But back up to the lead, Elias Roman has now gotten his lead up to 5 seconds, and Elias looking like a Max Verstappen in GT3s right now. Ain't nobody getting close to him at the moment. Kevin Fanning, Blake Reynolds. Looks like Blake has gotten around Kevin Fanning as well.
Yeah, Blake made that good move down the front straightaway and got out in front of Blake. So Blake got in front of Kevin. So we'll have to see if he can close that gap. 4.5 seconds right now between your first and second cars. And you notice Blake has already opened up to almost 1 second advantage on Kevin. So he does have more pace.
And he's got more pace than Elias Roman right now, it looks like, as well. And I was wondering, that Ferrari, nobody really drives the Ferraris that much anymore. As you can see, there's only 3 of them in the field. Obviously, the little yellow prancing horse symbol, if you look on the left-hand side on your timing tower. I don't really have much data on that Ferrari to see how they drive and if the tires are going to hold out. Looks like it's going to hold out better than the Mustang, but Blake is absolutely chewing into that lead, 0.5 of a second and half a lap.
Yeah, the Ferraris are notorious for being tight. And when that happens, they're notorious for burning up front tires. So being an open setup, though, you can usually free up the car a little bit and not wear out the tires as much as like a fixed setup. But Blake Reynolds definitely closing that gap with a 46.1 last time by. 0.8 of a second faster than Elias that last time by. So now that he's gotten out from behind Kevin, he is on the hunt, looking to close that gap. But we still got about just over 20 minutes left to go. So it's still anybody's battle up there.
Yep, going through here, kind of going through the field a little bit, trying to cover some people we haven't done yet. Karsten Quint, we talked about him. He was super quick. Actually, kind of looks like he may have a little bit of damage on the rear end of that Porsche. It may just be the paint job, but I don't think that's where Karsten wants to be right now. Steven Savigny right now in 14th place. Tim Brokaw, Brian Sohn, Travis Deflumer in a Corvette. One of the few Corvettes in the field I want to mention as well. There's not that many people that want to drive them.
Yeah, well, Brian Sohn is driving one of my favorite cars, and there's only one in this race, and that is the Audi. when they redid the Evo version and the new version, I was excited because it was getting a little stale. But I've always been a bit of an Audi Euro type guy, and love this car. But it's one that will kill you if you let it. So you go to a certain track and it just does not like to be there.
Well, I think it's ugly, so we're going to move on from that. And going back to Elias Roman in the lead. Sorry, Mike, I had to. Now down to 4 seconds. He is closed in a second after he's been able to get around Kevin Fanning. Now, the question is, again, Mike, and now that we're almost halfway through the race, a little bit, almost pretty close to halfway. Actually, I can't do math. We are halfway. Fuel, right? So you think that some of these drivers may have underfueled their cars a little bit in hopes to maybe save a little bit of that tire wear, make them a little quicker. I wonder if people like Elias Roman has done that, now realizes that he has to start backing off, because look at the gap now, 3.9 seconds, almost coming down to 3.8. I wonder if Elias is having to start to lift and coast already, realizing he's not going to be able to make it to the end.
That is a very true possibility. He had a 46.5 last time by for Elias, and Blake with a 46.1. So again, once he got free of Kevin, his true pace in that Porsche has really shown. So he has definitely closed that gap, less than 4 seconds separating your top two cars, and he's opened up to over a 2-second gap back to Kevin Fanning. So you know, he's just definitely pulled away. But then you've got Romain Rateau in that 4th spot, closing in on Kevin now. So that could be a battle for that final podium position very soon. The Porsches do seem to be pretty strong here. And as you've got 3 of them in the top 5 right now, with Blake, Romain, and Ray all in Porsches in that top 5.
Yeah, I mean, the Porsches do seem very strong. They're starting to come alive from, I mean, what we saw at the beginning to now. And honestly, even the one-lap pace of these Porsches, and again, remember, it is an open setup, so these guys do have quality setups as well. The Porsche just seems like a good car right now on the surface.
Yeah, the last set of updates that they did for the GT3 cars really put the Porsche towards the top on just about every track. It's almost kind of like the old Ferrari, where it just worked everywhere. It's just kind of, I know a lot of guys call it the glitch car, but if you don't really pay attention to it, it will bite you. And as we saw some of those guys coming through the S section, that back end motor just swinging around through those S's, and it just chases around in front of you and spins you out.
I will say the Porsche has come a long way. When it first came out, I buy cars. Yeah, I buy cars I never drive, right? Like it's one of those things. I drove it once and it literally wanted to kill me around every corner, and I drove it a couple weeks ago and it has come a long way as Ray Kingsbury gets off the track, almost dies where everyone else had been dying earlier in the race, but it's still, yeah, you got to be careful. It's not one of the cars. It's not a Ferrari. It's not a Lambo. It's not one of those cars where you can drive it the same way every lap. You've got to adjust to what it's telling you to do, or it will bite you. Again, all that weight in the rear end, the engine, it just acts like a giant pendulum back there, and the wheelbase on these Porsches are so short as well that once you lose it, you ain't getting it back.
Yeah, and it's there. I always call it Porsche doing Porsche things, because it'll swing out on you, and there's no saving it. Once you get sideways with a Porsche, there is no correcting it to come back. When you got those front engine cars, or even the mid engines, you can sometimes step them out, but the front engine ones, you can definitely step it out and save it. But that Porsche definitely cannot save once it gets sideways.
So speaking of Porsches, let's go back to Blake Reynolds here. It's 3.3 seconds. Looks like Elias has seen that gap coming down. He's decided to hit the throttle pedal just a little bit, but he can't get too loud with it because you wonder if he's struggling with fuel. Blake has now closed that within 2 seconds over the last 10 minutes or so. And if he keeps this up, he's going to be there probably around the 35, 37-minute mark.
Yeah, no, like I said, it's going to be interesting. It's still about 3 to 4 tenths of a second each lap that Blake has been knocking down on that lead. So, like you said, it's going to be another 10 minutes, 12 minutes or so to get there. that's going to make it down to a last couple lap battle. Oh, Steven's getting a little sideways. And,
hold on to it, Steven. Hold on to it. He does. Looks like he's going to be able to rejoin the track clean. I think what happened in that scenario is, who is it? Josh Stoltz I think may have just caught him by surprise there. Steven tried to get to the inside of him, had to get on the brakes. Don't know if there was any contact. The way that car went around looks like it was almost just a self-spin by getting on the brakes too hard.
Yeah, and like I said, easily done on that first section. It is very slick coming through there, and all those switchbacks that are pretty high speed. You really got to watch the traction of the tires. And by now, we've talked about it repeatedly. We're 30 minutes in, only 15 minutes still left to go, and you let those tires heat up, and you're pushing hard under brakes, and the car gets a little freer, and then the next thing you know, you're turning backwards.
Well, let's look at the manufacturer battle right now, even though there aren't any manufacturer iRacing. Tim Brokaw
taking the alternate pit lane.
That's an interesting strategy there, but he's going to slow him down. It looks like Sone's going to be able to get by him because of that. Which was it? That was, yeah, that was an interesting strategy to say the least. Mike, is there any strategy there? What was that?
I'm not sure. He may be just having some fun. I'm not sure, but I think you do get a slowdown from that, if I remember correctly. But I've used it a couple times as well in some practice sessions. But yeah, I'm not sure what that was.
He's manufacturer battle, Ferrari in front, but that Ford is about to be falling out of this top five very quickly. He's now got Romain Rateau on the back of him by, guess who? A Porsche. I mean, these Porsches are coming to life now. They've been quick the whole race, but I think everyone else is starting to lose those tires. Or again, it could be fuel. We'll have to see. Maybe some interviews will clear a bit of that up. Casey O'Brien is actually out. Casey O'Brien's out.
Oh man, that's a tough break. He may have had a packet loss. I don't know, but that is a tough break for Casey. He was running so good up front.
Let's see here what happened. Looks like we got a Matt Kingsbury pass on Casey O'Brien. Where is Casey? Is that Casey up in front of him, maybe? Yeah, he's gone. Just disappeared.
Wow, tough break for Casey. He had a great run going. His the heat race and this race had a great showing, and man, tough break to get disconnected and to fall out.
Yep, that is very unfortunate, but we can't be looking at that right now. There are battles all over the track. Romain Rateau now on Kevin Fanning. Romain on the inside is going to turn to the outside, but that doesn't matter because Romain got the move done before they get into the corner. Kevin Fanning now back in fourth place, coming under pressure from another Porsche, not too far behind him of Ray Kingsbury. And mind you, these are both admins of this league, so this could get a bit spicy.
Yeah, we've talked a lot of spice tonight, but that is definitely going to be interesting to see as Kevin's starting to fall back into those grasp of those Porsches. Ray closing that gap on him. So fourth and fifth separated by about 3/4 of a second right now. He's going to have to see what he can do when he gets closer here. Coming out, just dip those tires off just a little bit. And you got to be really careful and not spin out coming around that area.
Got Thomas, please tell me if I get this wrong. Thomas Cyros saying, come on, Romain. Well, Romain has gotten around Kevin. Now he's got to set his sights on Blake, but the problem is Blake has set his sights on Elias Romain because he is there.
Wow, that is so fast. The last couple laps, like I said, he's about 3/10 every time, and look at that. Battle for the lead now with less than 7 minutes still to go. It's coming up on 6 minutes left. That's going to be enough time for about 3 to 4 more laps. So that is going to make it an interesting finish to this race for sure.
Romain is going to need some help. These guys need to start battling. They need to start battling now if Romain wants to get up there. But Kevin Fanning is still in trouble. Ray Kingsbury is not letting him go. And there is a train of cars just licking their chops, seeing this Mustang. You can see the tail waggling around now on corner exit. It is not going well for Kevin.
No, it is bad timing. Like we said, the Mustang getting overheated on tires, dropping back into those grasp of those Porsches. He is surrounded by German engineering right now as they're coming through the snake section. Ray all over that back wing trying to make a pass on him. They're going to try to wait to get up here. Like I said, if he closes in close enough coming into that oak tree, he might be able to make a move. He is really definitely closing in fast.
You can see through these corners is where that Mustang is very, very loose right now. Kevin having to take it so slow. Ray absolutely able to floor it through there. Well, almost floor it through there. Yes, Pit Road Productions, we do read this chat. Yeah, absolutely just get on the back right now of Kevin Fanning, trying to get the move done. Doesn't want to watch Romain get too far ahead, but Kevin is right now in the middle of this battle. Kevin almost, don't take this the wrong way, Kevin. A rolling roadblock is, I thought they're getting close.
And we might want to jump back out in front. I know there's a great battle going on here, but we do have a lead change. Blake Reynolds taking over the lead. It looks like he got through him coming off that back straightaway. Under hard braking possibly, but here they come through the S's. Ooh, unconventional spot to get by. Got a good run coming up into that S section. Blake taking over that lead spot from Elias.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And yes, Pit Road Productions, please find the Discord. Slow Motion Broadcasting, you should see a Discord link there. And if not, I will I'll find something for you, I'm sure. But anyways, back to the race. We do have, again, Blake Reynolds now in the lead. Sorry, watching that overtake. And Blake is now about 0.5 of a second off of Elias Roman. And Romain Rateau is still really checking his mirrors for Kevin Fanning. He got around Kevin, but he's not really able to do much after that. This is an absolute gaggle of cars. Chandler Rubeck, though, speaking of not in a gaggle, really out there by himself doing just fine.
That is a perfect place to be, too.
It really is. Honestly, if you're in Chandler's spot, winning in your AM division right now, you want your race to be boring.
Yeah, but then you see Bogart closing in a little bit, Kevin closing that gap. But we might want to go back up to that lead battle for that 3rd and 4th spot. It looks like they are going side by side right now, coming down the back straightaway. Man, look at Ray coming on that inside, trying to get by Kevin as they come hard under braking into the roller coaster section. See what they can do here. Kevin holding that inside line, getting light. Oh, man, you can see him make those corrections on it. But Ray going around that outside, that was the preferred passing line right there. So now Ray Kingsbury up into the 4th spot. Kevin dropping back to 5th. Here comes Devin Hovarth right behind him in the 6th spot. Then Carter Hutchinson working his way back up after that spin out earlier, still hanging on to that 7th spot.
Yeah, and the problem is, again, Kevin's like, okay, the Porsches are by me. We're okay now. But no, because now you got a Ferrari that's trying to get around. It just gets worse and worse for Kevin. He's losing so many positions. And don't look now. Carter Hutcherson going to try to make the move. Maybe in the same corner. Going to go to the inside now. Oh, this is horrible right now for Kevin Fanning.
Yeah, it's just tough break. It's that big, heavy Mustang. Like I think I told you off the air, it's like this is definitely not a Mustang track. All these switchbacks, all these go-backs. It is definitely not a good Mustang track. Mustangs really like those long, leggy tracks, something like Daytona or something where you can just get it stretched out. So definitely a good plaque for that. As we're dropping back into the field here, you see Jay Hall still sitting in the 10th spot. He's not bad.
No, it's not bad, but, I know Jay Hall. Jay Hall, I would say, is a friend of mine. He let me stay in his house a couple weeks ago when I was in Florida for a couple days, and Jay Hall, I know you're better than this, man. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, Justin. But up to Matt Kingsbury now, running his own race, doing just fine. Again, Chandler Rubeck, we can't say enough about him. Kevin Bogart, John Ebersol, sitting 2nd and 3rd in the AM division, 11th and 12th overall. Looking here see if we got any more battles going on. Looks like there is a little bit of one here between Daniel Coletta and Kieran Forrest. Two Mustangs. The Mustangs, you can see, again, the blue oval there in the forge, you can see they're all starting to slowly fall back as this race goes on.
Looks like we are Ray closing in really quick on Romaine right now, coming down the front straightaway. So this could be a good run. They've got a lap car in front of them. It's interesting to see what happens. Oh, good job from the lap car just to slide out of the way. Let these guys go at it. We're closing in on 5 minutes left to go. Ray all over the back bumper of Romaine there, trying to get by, but this is where that track is really slick. This is where it's, you really tiptoe through here on a, 40 minutes of running with these hot tires on this, 100 and almost 15 degree track temp, 113 degrees right now. But here comes the run up into the S's and coming into turn 10. This is where Ray is really going to want to just suck that draft, just hang in right behind him and get close coming up to Oak Tree and try to make that run down the back straightaway like he did earlier on Kevin Fanning.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see what he can do here. Again, we're really running out of time. We have 5 minutes left. Mike, this race has gone by quick. I'm very surprised. I looked up, and it's now 5 minutes to go. Blake Reynolds is just piecing out. He said, okay, my tires are good. Goodbye. Elias Roman starting to fall back, but he's got absolutely no troubles, I think, holding on to that second place position from Romain Rateau, because he's still gapping Romain, because Ray Kingsbury has just gotten around Devin Horvath, and he is going to be coming now for Romain Rateau to take third.
Yeah, this is a great battle for that final podium position for Romain, Ray, and Devin, third, fourth, and fifth. Carter Hutchinson in the sixth spot. He was able to get by Kevin Fanning, and he is, not too far back as well. So, still anything can happen with 4 minutes left on the clock. So that's going to give these guys about 3 laps as you see Ray flashing those lights a little bit, trying to give Romain a little off his game, coming into a hard braking zone and closing in. Man, he is right on that back bumper right now.
Well, Romain is French, so I don't think it's going to throw him off his game. I've met a few French gentlemen, and a few French people on my endeavors across the world in the job that I do, and yeah, it's going to take a lot more than a flash of the lights to get Romain uncomfortable, but Ray is on the back of him. He may not have to make him uncomfortable. He may be able to beat him straight off of sheer pace here. Brian Sohn and Tim Brokaw also in a little bit of a battle of their own. I apologize. Tim Brokaw was in a battle with Brian Sohn, but it looks like something happened here to Brian. He's fallen back just a little bit, but back up to the lead group here. Man, Ray is doing everything he can. Looking left, looking right, showing noses, doing anything. He's going to show his nose again!
Man, that's going to give... who's that, Devin Hovarth right behind, a good chance to close in on Ray, because Ray had to really check up to come around that Oak Tree turn, and that's going to give that Ferrari a chance to leg out, get a little run on him, maybe try to make a move coming at the end here. Couldn't quite manage it, but that was a pretty risky move from Ray, trying to get by around there, because that long straightaway, you have to get a good run, and being up on that curb is not a way to get a good run.
This has to be extremely frustrating right now for Ray Kingsbury, because he's on the attack. This is not where Ray wants to be. You're on the attack for half of a corner, and then now you're on the defense when you're coming out of the corner, because Devin Horvath is trying to get around you as well. This is horrible for Ray. You know he wants to get around Romain. He's watching Elias Roman just absolutely drive away. Ray's going to go to the inside. Oh my goodness, what's going on?
Wow, that was a crazy move from Devin trying to get by there. And in all of that, here comes Carter Hutchinson getting able to buy. So, yeah, we got to go back and see that.
We absolutely can. Let's see exactly what happened here. So we've got, see what we can do. Let's see. Looks like Ray Kingsbury around Romain here. So he's going to go to the inside. But yeah, Devin just gets way to the inside. That was great moves by Romain to just over-under on Ray Kingsbury. And Devin, out of all of that, falls back to 7th. See what exactly happens to Devin Horvath here.
Devin looked like he was making a move already, and then was already committed to that inside line. And then all of a sudden, Ray just says, hey, I'm going to go here too. And Devin makes a good move to get away and not destroy everybody's race. Tough break. He may have had a good shot at Ray coming into turn 1 there.
That's unfortunate. Like I said, I do want to I'm going to defend Ray just a little bit on that one, and then we got to get back to the closing out of this race. When you're trying to fight and you're trying to pass, what happened to Ray? Ray's now falling back. Ray may have some serious damage, now back in 7th place, but when you're trying to pass somebody, you just don't expect to be getting passed at the same time.
Yeah, no, he was looking ahead and not behind, because Devin was on that inside. He had started to commit to that braking line, and Ray was more looking forward and just kind of got in front of him. Just a racing deal. It wasn't nothing, egregious and trying to take him out, but definitely a tough break for him. As we're closing in on the final time, this should be the white flag for Blake Reynolds, working his way up the field. Closed that 5-second gap to the leader, got by, and has opened up to almost a 3-second advantage now on Elias Romain. Great run so far from Blake, trying to bring it home just on that victory lap right now, able to pace behind these lap cars. So great run for Blake tonight.
It absolutely is, but it's not over yet. I mean, Carter Hutcherson is still trying to catch Romain Rateau, and we have now found out how difficult it is to get around Romain. He may be losing some pace, but that doesn't... Whoa, Carter in the grass, trying to make the move, and he does! But now Romain going for the over-under, gonna stay to the low side. Carter gets off the track. It's gonna be a drag race to the line, but we do have to get back up here to the lead. Looks like Blake Reynolds is going to try to get... He has one. No, he hasn't. Where are we? I don't know what's going on. Back to the
roller coaster.
All right, here we go.
Carter going on the inside, trying to get by, coming to the roller coaster for the last time. A little hot. Here comes Romain right behind him. Has to check up. But, man, that was a great battle coming down the back straightaway. But Blake Reynolds goes down the front straightaway, taking the win. Great run from Blake. Elias Romain finishing in the 2nd spot. Here comes your 3rd place finisher, the Mr. Spinout, Carter Hutcherson.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, great run to get
Carter
back up there.
Yep, Romain Rateau ends up in 4th with some staunch defense. Just wasn't enough to stay in the top 3. Kevin Fanning now on the move. Looks like he's going to be able to come home in 5th place with Devin Horvath in 6th, Ray Kingsbury in 7th, Chandler Rubeck, Matt Kingsbury, Justin Hall going to bring it home in 10th place. Didn't gain much, didn't lose much, gained a position. Be better, Justin. In 11th, we've got Kevin Bogart coming across the line in that Porsche. John Ebersol going to be coming across soon in 12th with Savigny in 13th. But we've got a little bit of a battle here between Brokaw and Sohn.
Yeah, coming around Hogpen turn right now onto that front straightaway. And Brokaw still able to hang on to it. Stone was able to close that gap. It was that was that battle earlier that we came to, and there was a little bit of a gap back, but they were able to close back in. Travis hanging on to the 16th spot. Then you've got Jeff Johnson, John Stotts in 18th, trying to make their way around. Everybody kind of finishing their last lap here, but there's some great battles in that thing. Kind of mid-tier, the bottom of the podium right there towards the end there, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, I just unbelievable racing, I've got to say, by all of the drivers. Some insane moves, but people, for the most part, looked to be like they were on the lookout for what was happening there. Brian Assa going to be the final driver to cross the line, and wouldn't you guess it, a Ford. I mean, those Fords were just not the greatest when it came to the long-run pace tonight. But yes, great moves, great awareness by other drivers on the track. But with that being said, we've got some results here. Mike, I'll let you read them.
All right, taking the win in car number 66, Blake Reynolds. Great job from Blake to get out there and stretch out to a 4-second gap. And then you got Elias Romain finishing in the 2nd spot. 3rd spot, Carter Hutcherson in 3rd. 4th spot goes to Romain Rateau. Kevin Fanning rounds out your top 5. Then you got in the 6th spot, Devin Hovarth. Ray Kingsbury in 7th. Your first amateur, Chandler Rubeck, in the 8th spot. Matt Kingsbury finishing in 9th. Justin Hall rounding out your top 10. In the 11th spot, Kevin Bogart. John Edersol in 12th. Steven Savigny in the 13th spot. Tom Brokaw in 14th. Brian Stone in 15th. Travis De Flumer in the 16th spot. Jeff Johnson in 17th. And Josh Stoltz running out the 18th spot. 19th spot goes to Carrion Forest. Paul Mijurak
Mikolajczyk.
There we go. Mikolajczyk in the 20th spot. Rob Eggerall in 21st. Daniel Kolita in 22nd. Brian Asta in 23rd. Moran Motov in the 24th. Nathan Fennell in the 25th spot. Rob Falquek in 26th. Jason Lynn, 27th. Joshua Suchi in 28th. Carson Quint, 29th. Casey O'Brien disconnected, had that packet loss, dropped him all the way down to the 30th spot. Josh Ondo, 31st. Colin Allen, 32nd. Gary Freeman on the 33rd. And also John finishing in the 34th spot.
So, it looks like I've been walking. I came out of my virtual booth and I started walking around here. I think I may have found a driver, and I hope this is the right driver. I think he has just found his way in. He may not have his media tag on. Is this Blake Reynolds by any chance?
Yes, sir.
Blake, congratulations on the win tonight. You did a great job. I mean, just walk us through kind of once you got by. You had to track down Elias, and you were able to make it happen. How? I mean, 5 seconds is a long way to make up.
Well, I knew I had a good long run setup in our Porsche. I work with Ray Kingsbury and Kevin Bogart for setups, and Cody Crosgrove too, but he wasn't here tonight. I knew if I just didn't scrub my front tires a whole lot, the Ferraris I've driven here before, I know. Especially in that first sector, they really, really suck on the front tires. So just kind of backed down my apexes all night, kept the front tires in check, temps down, and that seemed to be the key. I was beating people with 2 apexes. I wasn't really beating them off the corner, but just 2 apexes, or just, carrying more speed and better lines through the corners.
Well, it seemed to work out for you. So now let's talk about the difference in vehicles. Are you a Porsche guy by trade? This is just the car that you like. Do you change cars depending on the BOP? What made you decide on the Porsche?
Ray Kingsbury told me we're going to race the Porsche, so I did.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
I race everything. I'm not opposed to really anything. However, if I get in a car and I hate it on the first try, I might be scarred by it for 3 months until I try it again. So... I've always liked the Porsche. I like the 991. The 992 is this one. I like that. I've raced the Mustang at Spa. I've always liked the Corvette. I've raced the Ferrari before. I hate the BMW. I mean, there's like 11 of them now. I don't know. But yeah, I had fun, and I knew I'd do good in the Porsche. It's a car I've experienced in several other leagues, endurance races, and in SimCAR before in a previous GT3 season.
Well, yeah. I mean, congratulations again. And we're sitting here watching the replay. There was a turn 1 incident. You went 3 wide. Did you think your race was over there? I mean, that was an amazing driving display by all 3 of the drivers involved in that 3 wide into turn 1.
Yeah, I was just trying to fill a hole, and all of a sudden, I think it was Ray and Ramon. Ray got to the inside of Ramon. Or is it Ramon or Romain? Is an M on the end?
It's a great question. I'm sure we'll get corrected eventually. I've been calling him Romain, but it's Roman. Us Americans, right? We don't quite pronounce names correctly. But anyways, continue.
Yeah, I was filling the hole, and all of a sudden you're 3 wide outside. I'm okay. So then I check up a bit just to get in that second lane there, and I was expecting, I think it was one of the overtake cars to my right side. I was clear for some reason, so I'm like, okay, I'll just get in behind. So I got in behind, and I think it was like 5 or 6 laps before they jumbled up and I could start making my passes.
Yeah, I'm glad they jumbled up. I'm sure you're glad they jumbled up. You drove it to a win tonight. Anybody you want to thank, you want to shout out before we let you go?
Sure thing. Solpec Precision Racing. Beautiful livery on the car by Jeff Evans. Abruzzi, Solpec, of course. Just thanking my partners. Thank you all for broadcasting. Shout out SimCAR, Penguin RCA Simulation for sponsoring everything, and moving on to whatever the next race is. I don't even know.
Yeah, the next race is a great question, and let me stall for just 1 second here, and I can find that for you, because I did want to ask you about that.
Imola.
You ready for that one?
I like Imola. I'm a bit of a... I was going to say I'm a bit of an Italian track guy, but then again, I hate Mugello. And is Masato in Italy?
Yes.
Or is it France?
See, this is us Americans going again. Mike, do you know the answer to that?
I do not. I apologize.
If it's Italian, then I hate Italian tracks except for Imola and sometimes Monza.
Okay.
Unless they're serving pizza in the pit lane, then
yeah, exactly. All right, Blake. Well, hey, congratulations tonight. Go celebrate or do whatever you do on a Thursday night, and hopefully we see you up here again soon.
All right, thank you.
All right, Mike, have you been walking through the pit lane? Did you find our AM winner by any chance?
I think we have found our amateur winner, Chandler Rubeck. Chandler, congratulations on your amateur win and finishing 8th overall. Great run from you tonight. Tell us how the thing went down. It looked like you were pacing pretty good in the heat, and in the main you just kind of got separated from everybody and just kind of ran your own race.
Yeah, thank you. I just kind of decided early on I decided I wasn't going to be able to keep up with the front guys, and I was just going to save my front tires a little bit and keep it rolling, and I just let Casey came to the back, and then I went around him and just kind of cruised from there. I was a little inconsistent than I like, but I thought it was a solid race.
No, definitely a solid race from you. And in the first heat, we kind of noticed that you were creeping in towards that invert position. Were you pushing towards the end to try to snag that 8th spot, or were you pretty comfortable on the 9th spot?
I would have, but I think I was back a little bit too far after the incident with Matt and Justin getting spun out. I think if I didn't mess up Oak Tree one lap, I may have caught Casey, but I don't think I would have been able to pass him. I also didn't even realize it was for the 8th spot. I still thought we were 9th and 10th, so maybe would have pushed a little bit more.
Yeah, no, definitely a great run. And then we were talking during the broadcast too. You chose the Lamborghini. That is not an easy car to drive, and when the track temps are up over 110 degrees here in Virginia, it definitely makes that car a little spicy. Did you have any issues with that car running tonight?
Not too much tonight. I think the car had a little more speed in it. Obviously, my teammate Carter had a lot of speed in it. We went with a more well into the high downforce, keep it more stable and keep it under us.
Nice.
We were struggling keeping up with the Ferraris a little bit, but overall it was a solid car.
No, definitely. Great run from you, Chandler. Any races that we've got coming up soon that on the schedule that you're looking out for that get circled on your calendar?
Imola next week will be decent for me, but Portimao I should be very fast at. I was actually really surprised to even be fast here. It's the first time I've ever ran laps with Sunday.
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy track to get, but like I mentioned earlier, once you get it, it is a blast, and this is one of my favorite tracks on the service. So congratulations again. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to or thank for while you're in the booth here with us?
My teammate Carter, Randall Falks with Summit Sim Racing, James Collins for making the amazing paint that we got, SimCAR for putting on a great league, Penguin RC.
Nice. Well, congratulations again, Chandler. Go enjoy your amateur victory tonight and finish it in the top 10 overall. So congratulations and a good points haul from you, and we look forward to see you next week at Imola.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. That was your winner in the amateur class of Chandler Rubeck. So great job from him, and definitely looking forward. It's two guys that are looking forward to Imola next week.
Yeah, Imola should be a good race, and I think in the booth next week I'm gonna actually be able to shut up for once and just do my actual job of production here. Sounds like Randall McGrew might be back, so you're going to be with Randall for that Imola call. Mike, are you ready for Imola? It's going to be a tough one. I mean, the chicane is going to be difficult, to say the least.
It's going to be a challenge for the Mustangs again. That hard braking zones is just going to be brutal on those big old heavy Mustangs. But working with you before, I know you're not going to be shut up. I know we're going to have your voice over the airs out of the production booth. So yeah, I know how it's going to work.
Yeah, all right. You're not wrong. But anyways, back to the race tonight. Yeah, great race. Again, SimCAR just absolutely putting on a hell of a show. Massive field. Great driving, to say the least. Anything you want to say about it before we get the heck out of here?
No, it was honestly, SimCAR did a great job of putting on this race. The VIR is one of my favorite tracks, and it did not lack any kind of action or any racing. So congratulations to Blake and Chandler bringing home the wins in their classes.
100%. And before we let you go, guys, want to bring up the upcoming streams. July 28th, this Sunday at 1:45 p.m. Eastern Time. Actually, before that, because I haven't updated our broadcast sheet, this Saturday at, I believe, 1:45 p.m. Eastern Time. No, 2:45 p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be the Weekend Warriors again in the Formula Vs. Should be a great race. And then on Sunday, July 28th at 1:45, the Formula Ford headed to Winton. 2 hours later, we got the Spec Racer Ford going to Daytona. And then Sunday night, yes, packed Sunday here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. It's going to be Cross Series League Racing, where you get to see yours truly race and probably wreck again. We're going to be running the asphalt street stocks at Laguna Seca. Then next Thursday, they are not going to be at Algarve. They're going to be at Imola, because I, again, am a slacker and haven't updated anything. Yes, Imola, next week, around this time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Come hang out with us again. SimCAR is going to be in the GT3s at Algarve. But until then, guys, until I see you again, be good to everybody. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you all soon.
I see a Budweiser. Go ahead and hold it up.
Yes. There's
that was
our
the
Budweiser.
biggest clue.
Yes, right
Doing
there.
it for Dale.
Man, it's so many gimmicks, right? I feel like they're making it a lot more complicated than it needs to be. I mean, a lot of people, you get polarizing opinions on DRS.
I know you guys know exactly what I'm talking about here, but sometimes the effort, it's all about the boys. You know, like, hey, you know, life sucks sometimes, and you need the boys.
iRacing kind of always has a tendency to kind of buff
Yes.
the new cars just a little bit. I'm not going to go on record saying it's because they want people to spend money on their platform and buy all the new
Conspiracy
content.
confirmed.
But
Yes.
but